So reference for this recording is chapter 3, preferences, HAL variant. Consumer preferences. Consumer preferences. Well, supposedly there are two consumption bundles. One is X1, X2. Another is Y1, Y2. Of course, you can rank these consumption bundles according to their utility. If X1, X2 is giving you higher utility, you will rank it higher than Y1, Y2, and so on and so forth. You can determine as a consumer which one is giving you a higher utility and which one is giving you a lesser utility. So suppose it, and understand one thing, that when I say higher utility, it means that you will be substituting these consumption bundles back into your utility function, though I haven't talked about the utility function. But if it is giving you a strictly higher utility, it means that one bundle is strictly preferred to the other bundle. So I'll write this as bundle X and I'll write this as bundle Y. So when do you say strictly preferred? X is strictly preferred to Y. When do you say that? When X provides strictly greater utility than Y. That is, UX is strictly greater than UY. Note that for preferences, when I'm writing strict preference, then I'm using this symbol. Okay. Now for weak preference, well, it may happen that X is at least as good as Y. Okay, so you might say that, so whenever you have an at least as good as, it has inherently assuming either strict preference or indifference. So what do you actually mean by weakly preferred? So weakly preferred, I mean, you'll write it this way. This is the symbol of weak preference. So this was a symbol of strict preference. This is a symbol of weak preference. And you say that X is at least as good as Y. This is what you'll say. Now, and the last one is your indifference. You use this symbol for the indifference. That would mean that X is indifferent to Y. X is indifferent to Y. So indifference would mean that both the bundles are giving you same utility. So whether you prefer X or you consume Y, you'll be getting the same utility. It doesn't matter. Is that right? So that is your indifference. Now, all of these relations, your strict preference, weak preference, indifference, all of these themselves are related. Okay. So I'll talk about I'll talk about the transitivity part, and then you'll understand how these relations themselves are related with each other. So what do you mean basically here is that there are certain assumptions which you will have to make about the preferences. There are certain assumptions which you will have to make about the preferences. So the first one would be reflexive. Now, reflexive would mean what? That a bundle is at least as good as itself. So what is an example here? Pen is at least as good as itself. So the pen which you are holding, that is at least as good as